Good morning, and welcome to Morning Moments. I have a actor here on Morning Moments, Brett Varvel. I about said Marvel, didn't I? Varvel, and Brett has been doing acting for quite a while. He's been on some things I'm sure you've seen. He was on a recent film about a famous football player, Kurt Warner, and a great film. If you haven't seen it, please watch it as American Underdog. I am so proud and glad to have you on to Morning Moments. Finally, we've been trying to work at this for a little while.
Yeah.
Brett, welcome to Morning Moments.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Let me ask you, what do you do and why do you do it?
So I'm in the film and television industry primarily as an actor and a director. And if I could sum up what I do and why I do it, it'd really be to use the talents and abilities that the Lord has given me to proclaim the gospel to a lost and dying world through the art of film. That's like the wholesome, short way to describe what I do and why I do it. That looks very different depending on the projects that I'm involved with. Sometimes the message of the film itself, the presentation, is how I do that. But what I've seen a lot more in recent years is that the Lord has really called me to be his ambassador, not just in my personal day-to-day life, but on these film sets that I'm going to. Every project has a whole different group of people from their own walks of life, and we're all hurting and in need of Jesus, just like everybody else. And so being able to meet people where they're at and do life with one another, and a film set is like an intense camp-like experience, because it's this incubator of everybody coming together for a short period of time for a common goal. And so stuff just starts to bubble to the surface, regardless of where people are from. It's just something that happens on a film set. And so you get to be a part of like real, honest and intense conversations. And it's just really cool to see how the Lord brings people to different places, different projects at different times. And then I just really see my purpose in all of this to connect with the hearts of people and show them the hope that I have, which is found in Jesus and his sacrifice for us and his resurrection, and the hope of eternity.
You know, when you were talking, it made me think of that. There's often times where God puts actors or other people involved in the film industry for that story, but the reason is behind the scenes, often to the people who's on the set, like you said. Yeah. That at the right moment, at the right time, being that influence to that person, and the story is sometimes way less important
right,
than the relationship that you have with somebody as you talk to them.
Yeah, and I think I've seen that evident in almost every movie that I've ever been a part of. A lot of times I'll do like a kind of a debrief in my own heart after I wrap a project, and I try to evaluate, Lord, what was this project really about? Was this because someone needed to pour into me? Was this so I could pour into someone else? Or was this there's so many layers that obviously we're all coming together to tell a story, and so the story at hand is very important to all of the people on the project. But there's a whole host of other ministry realities happening behind the scenes that most people are never aware of, and a lot of times it's not with the people that you see on screen. It's all the behind the scenes people who don't usually get a lot of recognition for their work. And so it's just a good way to connect with other people and just honestly share the hope that with which I've been blessed with. I mean, the Lord has allowed ups and downs in my life. I've had mountaintop experiences. I've had deep valleys of all kinds of trials and suffering and different types of things, and all of that has made me more like Jesus. And so I want to pass on what I've experienced firsthand to other people, because we're living in a time and a day and age right now where there's just so much brokenness, so much hurting, and so much chaos constantly around the world, and people are looking for answers, and they're going to science, or they're going to government, or they're going to whatever, And I really feel like as Christians, our job is to say, look, I have the answer. I have the hope. I want to share it with you. Whether they accept it or reject it, it's up to them. And I think that's why I love the parable of the sower in Matthew, where Jesus just basically says, look, your job is to scatter seed. Let me take care of everything else. But just scatter that seed to whoever you come in contact with.
I heard somebody say one time, not only does Jesus have the answers, he is the answer.
Right.
Doesn't matter what the question is.
Right. Exactly.
He's the answer. And
exactly.
So, how did you find Christ? What was the turning point in your life?
So I grew up in a Christian home. I'm so blessed with two of the most amazing parents in the world. From the time that I was in the womb, even, I was going to church and different things, but I was 5 years old, and I'd heard the gospel from my parents. I had heard the gospel at church, but one Sunday I came to this realization that because of my sin, I was going to be separated from a holy God for all of eternity. And that really settled with me, and I realized my mortality, and I realized where my eternal destiny was without Christ. And so even as a 5-year-old boy, I came home and I said, Mom, Dad, I'm getting saved today. And they're like, whoa, let's talk about this. What happened? And they pointed me to God's word, and they showed me how I could be saved. And so I surrendered my life to Jesus at 5 years old. I would say my faith journey really became my own at 15 years old. It was a time in my life where I had been spoon-fed everything from a very young age. And it was a journey between 15 and really 20 years old of just digging into God's word for myself and discovering if all of these things that my parents had taught to me and my pastors had taught to me, if it was truly my own genuine faith. And it ended up it was, but it was an experience I needed to go on in my own way. And that really led me then to not just, surrendering my life to Jesus, but also my career of everything that I'm aspiring to do as a filmmaker. That really started at when I was between 15 and 18 years old for me. And it's just been an incredible journey. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but my Jesus is faithful, and he's been with me every step of the way.
I accepted Christ. I waited a couple more years than you. I was the ripe age of 7 years old, but I tell people that when I came to Christ, I felt like I was the dirtiest, rottenest, vilest sinner ever walked on the face of the earth.
Right.
I needed you to save me, and He saved me at the age of 7. I think you can't get totally saved until you realize you're totally lost, and
Right.
when you realize I'm totally lost without Him. And
right.
There may be the time where you accepted Christ as your Savior, but then when the rubber meets the road, when you really are challenged later in life, that's when your faith grows and say, well, I know what I've heard all my life. Now I'm putting it into practice, and wow, His faithfulness is here.
Yeah, totally agree.
And what would you tell to people today that feels like there's no hope?
I know that the circumstances of our world feel very hopeless. All I can tell you is that in my deepest, darkest moments of life, I had peace because of my relationship with Jesus. One of the most difficult things that my wife and I have had to go through is the loss of 2 children. And my wife, in 2018 and 2019, we lost 2 different children in the womb. And my wife was far enough along with both of them that she delivered their bodies at the hospital. And so there I sat in the hospital holding my deceased sons. And I couldn't get any lower at that point. And I had begged God to resurrect them. I had begged God to save them and to keep them here longer. And that just wasn't part of His plan. But so in that deep, dark pit, the only thing that I can explain to people is that I know that Jesus came to this earth. He died for my sin, for the sins of the world, but He didn't stay in the grave. He's alive. He came back to life, and He offers hope and eternal life to all who would believe in Him. And so I'm sitting there in the hospital, and I know I'm going to see these boys again in one day. I'm going to be there with my Savior, with them, because I believe that the Bible is true. And so that hope has permeated every aspect of my life. Like I said, not just in the dark, hopeless moments, but even on the mountaintop experiences, because, the Bible is very clear that every good and perfect gift comes from God. And so I know that those things aren't mistakes. Being a part of American Underdog wasn't, because I crafted myself into the position and just, worked my way in there. It was a thing of the Lord. And so I just, from firsthand experience, would encourage people that if you're a skeptic and you're on the fence about this whole Jesus thing, about hope really being found in Jesus, cry out to him, trust him, and you will experience the creator of the world and in ways that you can't even fathom. And it's just been, just personal experience. That's all I can really share, is that Jesus truly is the way, the truth, and the life.
There's times when I prayed with people and people said, well, I don't know if I could believe this. And so I have turned to them and said, you know what, I'm going to pray specific for you, that somehow God would make himself made known to you.
Yeah.
And when you pray that way, and when you're saying, God, I really need to hear from you, God knows your heart. It's up to us to hear his voice. And so when your heart, if your heart's desire is, I need to hear that if you're a real God or not.
Yeah.
Just, now that you've asked, I'm going to show you. And so if that's where you're at today and you're going, I don't believe anything these guys are saying, that's all right. Ask God to be made known in your life today. And somehow God will show you that he's a God that cares for you, loves you, has you in the palm of his hand. He's got a hope, a future, and he's got a plan for your life.
Yeah.
Brett, I'm going to put down below your credits. You've been on so many great things, and God's got great work for you to do. And but I'm also going to pray that my audience prays for you. And I would encourage you, when this interview is over, just to stop for a few minutes and pray for Brett, his family, and that God would continue to bless him and use him in all his endeavors and all that God has for him. Thank you so much, Brett.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate you, brother.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for joining me for Morning Moments, and keep coming back.